Prior to the middle of the 20th century, when electronic computers and data processing were invented, how was information stored, processed, and communicated? In the Middle Ages, before William Caxton's printing press, monks acted as photocopiers, carefully copying and illustrating religious texts by hand. The original computers were talented people employed to perform complicated mathematics, such as calculating missile trajectories in their heads. In their heads. In the past, people spoke to each other, face to face, and occasionally called each other on the telephone. Those who could read and write hand wrote and mailed letters or wired telegrams to each other. The concept of a paperless office of the future arose in the 1970s. The idea was to operate and manage the business using information displayed on computer screens rather than paper printouts, reducing costs and storage space requirements. A few companies nowadays have fully embraced the concept, for example, scanning and then shredding incoming postal mail, using electronic scans for business purposes. Most organizations, however, still use printers and stock their stationary cupboards with pens. Email has almost, but not quite, replaced the internal memo, letter, and fax as a form of communication, while telex and the telegraph are fading memories. Paper is still used for particular purposes, though. Many of us take rough notes in meetings on notepads or use sticky notes and jotters for our to-do and shopping lists. This probably includes many CEOs who jot down some ideas about their next acquisition or other strategic moves. Desk diaries and wall planners sell well around New Year. While online versions are increasingly popular, many official forms and marketing leaflets remain available on paper, as do the grocery till receipts and restaurant menus. Contracts and agreements are slowly becoming computerized with machine-readable digital signatures replacing illegible human signatures in some but not all situations. Paper money, cash, remains valuable as ever. In information security terms, there is something to be said for paperwork. It is highly available with no batteries required, and networking is not a concern. Properly stored and protected, paper is a reasonably durable storage medium. Credentials and official ID cards such as passports, driver's licenses, and staff passes increasingly contain embedded digital chips for electronic readers. The physical photograph of the holder, though, allows immigration officers, police, and security guards to check that the person resembles their picture, a powerful information security capability in its own right. On the other hand, there are security issues with paperwork. It is vulnerable to physical incidents, including loss and damage by water or fire. Modern smart office printers and multifunction devices should worry anyone scanning, copying, or printing out confidential materials. Their internal data storage may retain images, unlike the old dot matrix and inkjet printers. Papers can be stolen, misplaced, copied, and altered. All potential threats when it comes to important contracts, cash, and credentials. Fakes and forgeries such as counterfeit money are obvious concerns. Here's a genuine incident illustrating the issue. Every day for several months, an auditor successfully accessed the secure facility where he worked, briefly flashing a crudely made fake ID at the guards as a test of the security arrangements. Recognizing his face and vehicle, they didn't even notice the fake ID. Eventually, a sharp-eyed guard spotted the discrepancy and insisted on more thorough checks. Luckily for the guards and the organization, the auditor was still authorized and trustworthy, but the ineffective authentication resulted in an official warning and changes to improve the site security procedures. Computer data is clearly not the only form of information at risk. So how can we protect information on paper and similar media? Physical security is an obvious control. For starters, locking paperwork away when it is not being used. Sensible people store their passports, credit cards, diaries, bank statements, and other valuable or sensitive paperwork, including work out of sight, in locked drawers, filing cabinets, or safes. Fire safes ideally. Information classification is a related control. It's probably not a good idea to leave that folder stamped "Top Secret" out on your desk as you head home of an evening. And before you scoop it into your brown leather briefcase, ask yourself whether you honestly need to take it out of the office at all. Aside from fires, losses, and thefts, Other accidental physical threats to stored information include floods, rodent damage, mold, and gradual deterioration of the storage media. Archival is a common control for contracts and other official papers that need to be retained long term. The process of archiving information needs to be thought through, however, including the information security aspects. Simply employing a well-known archival and storage specialist may not be sufficient. A devastating fire totally destroyed a commercial archive facility in London. City firms lost valuable legal and other paperwork, and the archive company lost face. Customers who had the good sense to make copies of the valuable materials they sent to the archive and had stored those copies separately hadn't totally lost the information content, but other customers were not so lucky. Lesson learned. We'll end this video with some simple tips on protecting paperwork and other non-computerized information. Think about what you're writing or saying. There's more than a grain of truth in the wartime warning that loose lips sink ships. Take extra care with secrets or other highly classified information. Consider who you are sharing information with. Can you trust them with it? Do they know how sensitive or valuable it is? Can anyone else read or overhear? Are you certain that sensitive papers will be delivered, promptly and unopened, to the specific person to whom they are addressed? Secure important information. Lock paper documents safely away to reduce the risk of theft, loss, or damage. This includes printouts and other materials from work, bank and credit card statements, and family photos. Even utility bills are worth securing, since they might be used to steal your identity. Make and secure copies of vital information. If the original is lost, at least you won't have lost everything.